Do you think Stoicism is just about suppressing emotions? Perhaps this is the most common idea, that to be Stoic is to be unwavering, cold, nearly unfeeling, like a rock, while the world falls apart around you. But what if I told you that this view is completely wrong? What if real Stoicism has nothing to do with hiding what you feel or forcing yourself to act as if emotions don't exist? In truth, Stoicism is quite the opposite of that. On this journey, we're going to break down this idea and instead bring to light the true purpose of this philosophy. I'll show you what it really means to be Stoic and how this practice can have a far greater impact than it seems. Far from being indifferent, Stoicism is about recognizing every emotion we feel and, from there, finding the clarity and balance needed to avoid becoming enslaved by those feelings. Rather than ignoring our emotions, Stoicism invites us to understand and use them to our advantage. Get ready, because over the next few minutes, we'll explore 9 strategies that will transform how you see yourself and the world around you. These strategies are practical, and when truly applied, they can create profound change in your life. If you expect being Stoic is something unattainable or limited to moments of perfect calm, it might be time to revisit your expectations. This video is for those ready for a new approach, for those who want to discover a practical philosophy that can be used every day, not something limited to distant and cold theories. By the end of this video, you'll have real tools for handling any situation. We're diving into the essence of Stoicism, turning this philosophy into something you can use right now, in your daily life, in your work, and in your relationships. Ready for a true transformation? Then let's get started. When Stoicism comes up, many people picture a cold, distant person, someone who seems not to feel anything. You might have even heard that being Stoic means not showing emotions or even not feeling anything at all. However, these are myths that limit the true potential of Stoicism. In reality, Stoicism isn't about erasing feelings, but about using them to our advantage. To be Stoic doesn't mean to be indifferent or inexpressive. It means having clarity and balance even when everything around you seems to be on fire. This philosophy invites us to gain a deeper understanding of our emotions, so we can act with purpose rather than be swept away by impulsiveness. Picture a practical situation. You're in a tense meeting, and the atmosphere is heating up. Voices are rising, people are interrupting, and you feel the growing pressure to dive into the argument and respond in kind. Your emotions are on edge, and the urge to react is nearly overwhelming. So, what does Stoicism suggest? It doesn't ask you to ignore what you're feeling or to pretend that nothing's happening. On the contrary, it gives you the chance to recognize the emotion rising within you and make a more conscious decision. Take a deep breath, analyze what truly matters, and, with clearer vision, respond, rather than reacting impulsively. Another common myth is that Stoicism is a philosophy only for those who want to distance themselves from feelings, or for those who are already naturally indifferent. But in fact, Stoicism was created for people who face hardships, for those who live through challenging situations and want to learn how to handle them more wisely. It's not a philosophy meant to separate us from our emotions, but rather to teach us to use them as a compass, guiding where we should or shouldn't invest our energy. Think of the times you've automatically reacted to something, a critique, an unexpected situation, or even a casual comment. How often did those reactions bring the outcome you truly wanted? Stoicism offers a different approach. Instead of being prisoners of our reactions, it shows us how to observe, understand, and then decide on the best response. It's about acting with purpose, even when emotions push us toward directions that, deep down, don't truly serve us. So, contrary to popular belief, Stoicism doesn't distance us from emotions. It empowers us over them. It helps us find internal stability, allowing us to make decisions with clarity without being dominated by fleeting impulses. Being Stoic means understanding that emotions are part of us, but that we don't need to let them control us. Now that we've untangled some of the common misconceptions, it's time to look closer at how this philosophy actually empowers us to master our emotions in real-life situations. Imagine the sea during a storm. The waves rage, the wind howls, and the water's surface is pure chaos. But deep below, in the depths, everything remains calm and serene. That's the essence of Stoicism, a state of peace that doesn't depend on what's happening around us. While life may turn turbulent and unpredictable, true Stoic power is the ability to maintain inner tranquility, refusing to be swept away by the winds of emotions or external events. Stoicism gives us tools to navigate this chaos without being consumed by it. It's not about ignoring or denying the storm. It's about not letting it dictate our actions. Just as the ocean's depths remain undisturbed by the waves above, we, too, can find a stability that withstands external pressures. Stoicism doesn't require us to become emotionless robots. Instead, it encourages us to reach into that inner depth where we're not at the mercy of everything happening around us. Now, think about a recent moment when you felt like you'd lost control. Maybe it was an argument, unexpected news, a high-pressure situation at work, or even an unexpected criticism. Think back to how your body reacted, the thoughts that raced through your mind, and how hard it was to stay calm. Now, imagine how that moment might have gone if you'd had space to breathe, a distance that allowed you to observe the situation without being swallowed by it. That's the difference Stoicism offers, the power to choose how to react, even when everything around you seems to demand an automatic response. This philosophy teaches us that while storms and emotions will always arise, there's a place within us that can remain firm, secure, and at peace. With this clear foundation, let's dive into the Stoic strategies that will help you apply this wisdom in your day-to-day life. This is the first pillar of Stoic self-control, the awareness that, while the world is filled with unpredictable situations, how we respond to them is up to us. Imagine you're at a social gathering and suddenly someone makes a disrespectful comment, a remark that hits your ego or challenges something you value. The natural impulse is to react, to defend yourself, or even to respond in kind. But Stoicism teaches us to conserve our energy and focus on the one thing we truly can control, our own response. Instead of spending energy trying to change the behavior of the person who offended us, we can choose to respond in a way that preserves our peace and keeps us in control of the situation. Once we start directing our energy toward our own responses, a natural next step is understanding what truly lies within our control and what doesn't. This simple but powerful distinction is central in Stoicism, liberating us from needless worry and mental clutter. Think about how much time we spend anxious about what others think of us or stressed over events beyond our reach. Worries like these are a constant source of stress because they trap us in an endless cycle of trying to control the uncontrollable. The Stoic focuses their efforts only on what they can affect and lets go of what's beyond their reach. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent to the world or others' opinions, but rather understanding that our serenity shouldn't depend on things we can't change. By embracing this reality, we become less vulnerable to uncertainties and more centered on our actions. With this awareness of what we can and can't control, we naturally find ourselves drawn to the next pillar, cultivating an inner calm. But calm in Stoicism isn't passivity, it's a focused strength. Calm is concentrated power, a force that enables us to act precisely instead of being driven by momentary impulse. Think of an athlete mentally preparing before a big competition. They don't panic or act hastily. Instead, they find a point of balance within themselves, a focus that allows them to act with clarity when the moment comes. This is the essence of Stoic calm, the ability to observe what's happening, understand the situation fully, and act in an intentional and mindful way. In our everyday lives, this calmness allows us to face challenging situations without being overwhelmed by anxiety or fear. As we continue to build our inner calm, we encounter an essential Stoic insight, the acceptance of reality. This doesn't imply surrendering or settling for less, but rather recognizing the wisdom in knowing where our influence begins and ends. Imagine, for instance, that you missed an important flight. The initial reaction might be frustration, anger, or even self-pity. But when we accept what happened, we gain the clarity needed to redirect our energy toward what can be done next. Instead of wasting time regretting the missed flight, you can focus on finding the next option, reorganizing your schedule, and moving forward. Stoicism teaches that by accepting reality, we create space to act with greater wisdom and less emotional drain. Resisting what's already happened only drains us, while acceptance frees us to move on. The next strategy is learning to endure discomfort, understanding that it's a natural part of growth. The Stoic knows that discomfort isn't an enemy, it's a teacher. Think of any experience that has truly changed your life. Chances are, at some point, you went through a challenging situation that demanded a lot from you, perhaps even pushing you out of your comfort zone. These difficult moments shape us and prepare us for what's to come. Stoicism teaches us not to flee from discomfort, but to face it with courage and determination, using it to build inner strength. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to practice this resilience and grow stronger. After all, a life without difficulties would make us fragile, while facing and overcoming them makes us stronger. This leads to the next Stoic practice: indifference to what doesn't matter. The world is full of distractions and minor irritations that, in the end, have no real impact on our happiness. Yet, it's easy to fall into the trap of being affected by traffic, comments on social media, or minor annoyances that take up disproportionate space in our minds. Stoic indifference teaches us to ask, does this really matter to me? If the answer is no, then it's time to let it go. Happiness and serenity don't come from controlling every little detail, but from knowing what deserves our attention and what we can ignore. When we practice this selective indifference, we make room to focus on what truly matters and adds meaning and value to our lives. This is the first step towards Stoic growth, the practice of self-observation. Often, we go through life on autopilot, unaware of the negative patterns in our thoughts and behaviors. Cultivating self-observation is like placing a magnifying glass over ourselves, noticing the emotions that arise, the thoughts that invade our minds, and the impulses that lead us to act without thinking. Each day, take a moment to reflect on your own reactions and observe if any patterns emerge. Maybe you notice that in certain situations, you feel jealousy, fear, or act defensively. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward transforming them. Stoicism teaches us that by observing our thoughts, we begin to control them and change what limits us. The next strategy is to review the day with honesty, an essential practice for growth. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's great figures, was known to write daily about his experiences and reflections. He kept a journal to record his victories, his failures, and all he could improve upon. This practice, beyond being a form of self-awareness, is also an exercise in humility. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to revisit the situations you experienced. What did you do well? Where could you have been more stoic? This moment of reflection allows you to learn from your actions and, day by day, mold yourself into a better version of yourself. It's not about judging, but about observing and learning. Finally, Stoicism reminds us to accept our own fallibility. Being stoic is about accepting that we're flawed and that learning comes precisely from these mistakes. We all make errors, sometimes in crucial moments and sometimes repeatedly. It's easy to get carried away by self-criticism and frustration. However, Stoicism teaches us to look at mistakes differently, seeing them as opportunities for growth. You might recall a situation where you made a wrong decision and, instead of condemning yourself, you used the experience to improve. Every mistake contains a lesson, a point for improvement. By accepting our flawed nature, we free ourselves from the need to be perfect and open up to continual learning. With these strategies in mind, it's time to take the next step. Choose just one of these principles and make it your focus for the next 24 hours. Try it out, see how it influences your thoughts and responses. It could be controlling your reactions, accepting what's beyond your control, or even practicing indifference to what doesn't matter. Try living one day with this stoic mindset and see how it affects your reactions and emotions. At the end of the day, set aside 5 minutes to reflect on your experience. Ask yourself, how did it feel to apply this strategy? Were there moments when it was challenging? What did you gain from reacting differently? This small reflection exercise is a powerful way to solidify what you've learned and to see how Stoic practices can transform even the most challenging moments. Share your experience in the comments. Tell us how it was to apply Stoicism in your daily life and what the results were. Let's learn together and build a community striving to live with more clarity, purpose, and inner peace. Stoicism isn't about turning into a rock, insensitive to everything happening around us. On the contrary, it's a practical, living philosophy that teaches us to find peace and purpose amid life's difficulties and uncertainties. It's about having the courage to look within, to understand our reactions, accept what we can't change, and, at the same time, act with intention and wisdom where we can. Stoicism invites us to live with a serene strength that doesn't depend on perfect circumstances, but rather on a mind at peace and a focused will. As you begin applying these strategies in your daily life, remember that Stoicism is an ongoing practice. It's like nurturing a plant. It requires attention, patience, and, most importantly, consistency. Every moment in which we choose to respond calmly, accept what's out of our control, or let go of unnecessary worries, we're strengthening this practice and building a life with more meaning and balance. If you feel that this Stoic journey resonates on a deeper level, why not continue exploring? In our ebook and other videos, you'll find more tools and insights to move forward and strengthen this mindset. May Stoicism accompany you in every step, helping you shape a life of purpose and serenity, no matter the storms that come your way.